The invitation came in the mail. Not a text, not a phone call, not her father sitting down with her and saying, "I need to talk to you about something." An invitation. Cream cardstock with gold lettering. Her name printed in the same font as every other guest, slipped between a water bill and a grocery store circular like it was nothing. Like it was a thing people just received. Dara stands at the kitchen counter holding it. She's 31 years old. She has a job she's good at, an apartment she pays for herself, a life she built in the years after everything fell apart. And she is standing in her kitchen, holding a wedding invitation for her father and the woman he left her mother for. And she cannot make her hands put it down. She's been here before. Not this exact moment, but this feeling. The one where something is happening to her and she's supposed to arrange her face into a shape that makes everyone else comfortable. She's been doing it since she was 14. That was the year her father sat her and her brother down at the dining room table and explained, very calmly, that he and their mother had grown apart. That these things happen. That it didn't change how much he loved them. He used the word transition. He used the phrase new chapter. He looked at them both steadily, like a man who had prepared for this conversation, which he had, because he'd been having it in his head for months while their mother had no idea. Her brother Liam cried. Dara didn't. She sat very still and watched her father's face and tried to find the part of him she recognized. She didn't find it. What she found, in the weeks that followed, was a woman named Sherry. Not found, discovered. The way you discover something that was always there, that everyone around you apparently knew about, that you were simply the last to be told. Sherry had been her father's colleague for 3 years. She had been at the family Christmas party the year before, standing in Dara's mother's kitchen, complimenting her mother's cooking. Dara had shaken her hand. She remembered thinking, Sherry seemed nice. The invitation is dated for 6 weeks from now. There's a handwritten note tucked inside, in her father's handwriting, that says, "I hope you'll be there. It would mean everything to me." She reads it twice. Then she sets it face down on the counter, goes to the living room, and sits on the couch for a long time without turning on any lights. Here is what Dara knows. Her father is a good man. She has been told this her entire life, and she has believed most of it. And the parts she couldn't believe she filed away in a place she tried not to visit. He coached her soccer team. He helped her move into 3 different apartments. He calls on her birthday without being reminded, which is more than she can say for some people she's dated. He is also a man who decided he wanted a different life and then arranged it quietly, carefully, for a long time, while his family sat at the dinner table and passed the salt and had no idea they were already in the past tense. And now he is marrying Sherry, and he sent an invitation. And Dara is supposed to put on a dress and sit in a room and watch and smile and mean it, or at least perform meaning it well enough that no one has to be uncomfortable. She's done it before. She sat through the first Thanksgiving at Sherry's house when she was 17, holding a plate of food she couldn't taste, while her father refilled everyone's wine and laughed the way he used to laugh at home. She sat through the introduction when Sherry's kids came into the picture. 2 boys, polite, not their fault. She sat through the birthday dinner where her father and Sherry announced they were moving in together, and her brother squeezed her hand under the table, and she squeezed back, and neither of them said a word. She has been sitting through things for 17 years. The invitation is still face down on the counter. Her phone lights up. Her dad. She watches it ring. She doesn't answer. You already know someone who's been here, who kept showing up, kept swallowing it, kept being the bigger person until being the bigger person started to feel like disappearing. If that's you, stay with me, because Dara is about to stop disappearing. Hit subscribe if you're new. This channel is for the people who are tired of being the only ones who remember what actually happened. I'll be right back. She calls him back the next morning. Not because she's ready, because she knows herself well enough to know that if she waits until she's ready, she'll wait for months, and the wedding will happen, and she'll have made a decision by default. which is its own kind of decision, just one she didn't get to make consciously. Her father picks up on the second ring. He sounds happy. That's the first thing she notices every time, how consistently happy he sounds now. There's a looseness in his voice she doesn't remember from her childhood. A lightness that should probably feel like relief, but mostly just feels like information. He is, apparently, a man who needed different circumstances to become this version of himself. She has spent years trying not to think too hard about what that means for the years before. "Did you get the invitation?" he asks. "I did." "And?" She had planned this part. She'd rehearsed a version where she was measured and clear and didn't make it about old wounds, where she simply said she needed more time to think. A version that was mature and boundaried and wouldn't give anyone anything to point to later. Instead, what comes out is, "Dad, she was at our Christmas party." Silence. She stood in Mom's kitchen and told her the stuffing was incredible. "Dara," I shook her hand. "I thought she was your work friend." Her father's voice shifts into something she also recognizes, the careful, measured tone he uses when a conversation is going somewhere he didn't plan for. The coaching voice, the "let's be reasonable" register. He says he knows the history is complicated. He says he understands this isn't easy. He says he and her mother hadn't been happy for a long time before any of this happened, which is something he has said before, in various forms, for 17 years. As though the state of his marriage was the explanation, rather than his behavior inside it. And here is the thing about that argument that Dara has never said out loud to him. She doesn't doubt that he and her mother were struggling. She believes him. She has watched her parents be two people who probably weren't right for each other, and she has made her peace with most of that. What she has not made peace with is the lying. Not the leaving, the lying. The months, and she's done the math, she couldn't help herself, the months during which her father maintained a completely normal family life while conducting a completely separate one. The way he sat at that dining room table and said these things happen, as though the thing that had happened was a weather event, something that arrived, something nobody chose. She was 14. She believed him. She's 31 now. She's done believing versions of things. "I need some time," she says. "Of course," he says. "Take all the time you need. It would really mean a lot to have you there, sweetheart. To Sherry, too." She almost says something about that. About the specific texture of being told that her attendance would mean something to the woman who occupied her family's life for years before her family knew about it. She doesn't say it. "I'll let you know," she says, and she hangs up. Her brother calls that afternoon. Liam, who has processed all of this differently, or maybe processed it the same way and simply landed somewhere else. At some acceptance Dara keeps reaching for and missing. He's going to the wedding. He decided months ago. He told their father yes before the invitations were even printed. "It doesn't mean you're endorsing anything," Liam says. "It just means you're there." "For who?" she asks. He doesn't have an answer for that. Neither does she. But she's starting to think the question matters. You already know what it's like to be the one in the family who's still holding something everyone else decided to put down. Not because you can't forgive, but because no one ever actually asked you to. They just expected you to already have. Her mother doesn't know about the wedding. That is the first logistical fact Dara has to deal with, now that she's dealing with it. Her parents have been divorced for 17 years. Her mother has her own life, a smaller, quieter one that she built with what was left after everything. She remarried briefly in her early 50s, and then didn't, and seems to have arrived at a kind of settled solitude that Dara respects and occasionally worries about. She has never told her mother the specific timeline, how long the overlap was. She figured it out herself, at 17, from small details that didn't add up. A receipt she found once, a story that shifted slightly between retellings. She pieced it together the way you piece together things no one will hand you directly. She never told her mother because she didn't know what her mother would do with it. She still doesn't. What she knows is this: the wedding is in 6 weeks, in a venue 40 minutes from her mother's house, in the same city where they all live. Which means there is a reasonable chance her mother finds out anyway. From someone who didn't think to not mention it, or a social media post, or the particular cruelty of small worlds. Dara calls her on a Wednesday evening, framing it as nothing in particular. They talk about the usual things: her mother's garden, a book her mother is reading, a minor workplace complaint Dara half listens to while trying to figure out how to say the thing she called to say. She doesn't end up saying it that night. She calls back on Friday. "Dad's getting married," she says, "to Sherry, in 6 weeks. I thought you should hear it from me." The pause on the other end is very short. Shorter than Dara expected. "I know," her mother says. He called me last month. He wanted me to hear it from him." Dara sits with that. Her father called her mother. Her mother sat with the information for a month. Neither of them told Dara. "How are you?" Dara asks. "I'm fine." Her mother's voice is even. The specific evenness of someone who has had time to become fine, or at least time to practice it. "It's been 17 years, Dara. People move on. He was lying to you for months before he left." Another pause, longer this time. "I know that too," her mother says quietly. "I figured that out a long time ago. And I'm not just anything. I spent a long time being not fine about it. And then I had to decide if I was going to spend the rest of my life being not fine, or if I was going to do something else." A breath. "I chose something else." Dara doesn't know what to do with this. She called to protect her mother, and her mother, it turns out, is miles ahead of her. Has been for years. Is standing somewhere Dara hasn't arrived at yet, holding a door open, waiting. "Are you going?" her mother asks. "I don't know." What does not going give you? It's a good question. It's the question she's been circling for a week. Not going feels like a statement. Not going feels like the first time in 17 years she won't arrange her face into a shape for someone else's comfort. Not going feels like finally saying, "I was there. I remember." And this particular ask is too much, but her mother is asking what it gives her, not what it says, not what it means, what she actually gets. "I don't know," she says again. "That's worth figuring out," her mother says, "before you decide." 2 weeks before the wedding, her father calls again. Not to pressure her, he says, just to talk. They talk for 20 minutes about nothing. Her work, his golf game, a documentary they've both apparently been watching. He is good at this. He has always been good at this. He is warm and present and interested, and she has spent years using this as evidence against her own memory. "See, he's a good father. See, it wasn't that bad. See, you're being difficult." Then, near the end of the call, he says it. "I just want you to know that Sherry feels terrible about the way things happened. She's always felt terrible about it. She's been hoping for a long time that you two could find some kind of peace." Dara is quiet for a moment. "She told you that?" "She means it, Dara. She's not a bad person. She knows how it looked." "She knows how it looked." Dara turns that sentence over in her mind after they hang up. Not, "She knows what she did." Not, "She understands why it was wrong." How it looked. The framing of a woman who has spent 17 years thinking about optics rather than impact. who has arrived at the wedding altar having processed her role in all of this as a perception problem rather than a harm she participated in. And her father delivered this on her behalf, as a peace offering, as a reason to come. This is the part nobody talks about when they talk about forgiveness, the way it gets used as a tool by the people who need it most. The way she feels terrible gets handed to the wounded party like a gift, like the feeling terrible is the thing that should move you, like the remorse cancels the debt without anyone having to actually reckon with what the debt was. Sherry feels terrible. Dara spent her teenage years at a dining room table with a ghost sitting in it and didn't know what she was grieving because nobody told her there was something to grieve. She thinks about what her mother said. What does not going actually give you? She's been sitting with that question for 2 weeks, and she finally has an answer. Not going gives her the truth of her own experience, the acknowledgement, even if only to herself, that some asks are too large, that love doesn't have to mean unlimited access, that she can be a good daughter and still say, not this specific thing, not yet, maybe not ever. She texts Liam that night. I'm not going. I need you to know that doesn't mean I'm checked out of the family. It means this one thing is too much right now. He replies in 4 minutes. I hear you. I'll be there for both of us. For both of us. She hadn't expected that. She hadn't expected him to hold it that way. Not as her failing, not as the family fracturing, but as a division of labor. He goes, she doesn't. The family continues. Nobody disappears. She puts her phone down, and for the first time in 6 weeks, the thing in her chest loosens slightly. She still has to tell her father. That call is tomorrow. She calls her father the next morning. She has not rehearsed this one. She decided the night before that she was done rehearsing, that every version she'd ever prepared in advance had been designed to make the other person comfortable with her answer, and she was not doing that this time. She is going to say the thing plainly and let it land however it lands. He picks up on the 3rd ring. Hey, sweetheart. Hey, Dad. I wanted to let you know, I'm not going to be able to make it to the wedding. A pause. Not a long one, but she's known this man her entire life, and she can hear the shift in it, the recalibration, the reaching for the right register. Okay, he says finally. Can I ask why? And here is where the old Dara would have performed, would have softened it, framed it carefully, given him something he could hold without it cutting him, would have said something about needing more time, about not being in the right headspace, about hoping he could understand. All the language of accommodation she has been fluent in since she was 14 years old. Instead, she says, because I haven't finished making sense of what happened to our family, and I don't think sitting in that room is something I can do honestly right now. I love you. I'm not going anywhere, but I can't be there for this. Silence. She waits. What she expects, the coaching voice, the reasonable register, some version of, Dara, your mother and I hadn't been happy, or, Dara, that was 17 years ago, or, and this is the one she's most braced for, Dara, I thought we were past this. What she gets instead is a long breath, and then, I hear you. 3 words. Not an apology, not an explanation, not a defense, just, I hear you. She doesn't know what to do with it. Her whole body had been tensed for impact, and the impact didn't come, and now she's standing in her kitchen holding the phone and feeling something she can't immediately name. I'm sorry, he says then. Not for the wedding, but for the way things happened, the way you found out. I've never said that to you directly, and I should have, a long time ago. She sits down. She actually has to sit down, because this is the thing she didn't know she was waiting for. Not permission to skip the wedding, not validation that she was right. This specific sentence from this specific man 17 years late. I'm sorry for the way you found out. I should have said that a long time ago. It is not everything. It doesn't fix the Christmases or the dining room table or the handshake in her mother's kitchen. It doesn't undo the years of filing things away in places she tried not to visit. But it is something. It is the first true thing that has moved between them in a very long time. "Thank you," she says, and she means it. "I love you, Dara." "I love you too, Dad." She hangs up. She sits in the chair for a while, not crying, not relieved exactly, something more complicated than either of those. The feeling of a door that has been stuck for years finally moving on its hinge. Not open, not closed, just capable of moving. Her phone buzzes. "Liam, how'd it go?" She types back, "Better than I thought." Then, after a moment, "He apologized." Liam's response takes a little longer this time. Then, "He never did that with me." She reads that twice and realizes that by not going, by saying the thing plainly, by refusing to arrange her face one more time, she may have cracked something open that all the years of showing up never did. The wedding happens on a Saturday. Dara knows this because she has the invitation memorized without meaning to. The date printed in gold lettering. The venue name she's driven past 100 times. She wakes up that morning and lies in bed for a while, waiting to feel something catastrophic. Dread or guilt, or the particular hollow feeling of missing something you can't get back. What she feels instead is quiet. She makes coffee. She opens the window. She sits with the morning the way you sit with something you've stopped fighting. And there is a stillness to it that she doesn't entirely trust yet, but isn't going to argue with. Liam texts at 10. "Getting ready. Thinking of you." She sends back a heart. That's enough. That is exactly enough. She spends the day doing ordinary things. Laundry, a walk, a phone call with a friend who doesn't know about any of this, and asks how she's doing, and she says fine, and mostly means it. She makes dinner from scratch, something she only does when she has time and patience, and she eats it at her own table in her own apartment in the life she built, and she does not perform anything for anyone. At 7:30, Liam sends a photo. It's just the venue, the outside of it, lit up warm against the evening sky, guests moving in soft focus through the frame. He didn't send it to show her what she missed. She knows that. He sent it because they have always, without ever agreeing to, kept each other in the loop. Two kids at a table, squeezing hands in the dark. She looks at the photo for a long time. She does not feel like she made the wrong choice. She does not feel like she made a painless one either. This is what nobody tells you about finally drawing a line. It doesn't feel like victory. It doesn't feel clean. It feels like standing in a room that's quieter than you expected and understanding that the quiet is real. Not the quiet before something happens, but the quiet of something having already shifted. Somewhere beneath the surface of this ordinary Saturday, something moved. Not fixed, not resolved, moved. Her father sent a text at noon. Just, "Thinking of you today. Love you." She replied, "Love you too." She meant both things. She always means both things. That's what she's learning. That love and limit are not opposites. That you can love someone fully and still say, "I cannot go to this specific room on this specific day and smile while I'm in it." That saying so isn't abandonment. That it might, in fact, be the most honest thing she's ever done inside this relationship. Her mother calls that evening. "How are you?" she asks. "Good," Dara says, and then, "Actually good. Not performing it." Her mother laughs, a small, warm sound. "Good," she says. "That took me longer than it should have." "How long?" "Longer than you." They stay on the phone for an hour. They don't talk about the wedding or her father or Sherry or any of it. They talk about small things: the book, the garden, a show Dara has been meaning to watch. The comfortable texture of two people who know each other and are not currently in crisis and can just be that for a while. Before they hang up, her mother says, "I'm proud of you." Dara doesn't ask why. She knows why. "Thank you, Mom." She sits in the quiet apartment after the call ends. Outside, the city does what cities do: noise and light and the constant motion of people living their lives in close proximity. Inside, she is 31 years old, and she is not at her father's wedding, and she is not pretending about it, and there is no one in this room she has to manage. For the first time in a very long time, that feels like enough. Here is what I want to leave you with. Dara didn't blow up her family. She didn't issue ultimatums or make speeches or burn anything down. She said one true thing, once, without dressing it up for someone else's comfort. And it unlocked a conversation that 17 years of showing up never could. The people in your life who love you, actually love you, can handle your honesty. The ones who can't are telling you something important about what they actually needed you for. Dara knew that. She just needed permission to trust it. If someone in your life needs to hear this story, send it to them. Not as a message, just let them sit with it. Sometimes that's enough. And if you've been the one at the table, squeezing someone's hand in the dark and saying nothing, I see you. This channel is for you. I'm Hani. People always show you who they are. Wet Teddy just slows it down. I'll see you in the next one.